Dear attendees, I would like to welcome you to the International Conference 2023 New Trends in Teaching and Learning Science and Mathematics, organized by the National Center for Educational Development at the College of Education, Qatar University, in collaboration with the Educational Research and Development Center and the Ministry of Education in the State of Palestine. I'm Ms. Hala Faid, okay, and I'm a senior professional development specialist at the National Center for Educational Development. It's my pleasure to be with you in the room. The room will include 5 sessions, each of which will have a research paper. Each research paper will take 20 minutes for the presentation, in which 15 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for any further question or clarification. Kindly use the chat box for any questions. We will start the first research paper entitled Implementing a New Educational Mathematics Game TSFS as a Key Strategy in Learning Mathematics, presented by Prof. Hiba Nakash, who is a professor of STEM at QU, holding a PhD in statistics from McGill and a PhD in mathematics education from USM, USA. She developed and implemented the STEM lesson with focusing on AI and PPL, conducted professional development session for teachers on the latest technology tools and AI for classroom use. In addition to Dr. Mayaman Attai. Okay, Dr. Mayaman has more than 20 years of professional experience in teaching and researching in the higher education sector in the UK and the Middle East, North Africa. Dr. Mayaman has been advocating for embedding of technology in the teaching practices at both university and school level, and she has designed and delivered educational technology project in the UK, Japan, Kazakhstan, Algeria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the UAE. Dr. Mayaman is also member of highly prestigious Educational Research Association in the UK. Dr. Mayaman is currently advising government department and association across the Middle East on supporting the implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030, mainly goals for quality education. Dr. Mayaman holds a PhD from the University of Leicester in Education and MA in Educational Technology from University of Manchester, BA English Language and Literature, qualified UK Teacher Status, QTS, from Bradford University. She also holds a qualified FE Teacher Training and Skill Status from Caledar College in the West UK. Okay. Okay, the floor is yours, Dr. Hiba and Dr. Mayaman.
Thank you very much for this beautiful start, Ms. Hala. So we're going to start straight away by talking about our implementing the new education mathematics game, which is the TSL, which is Teaching Strategy for Learning Students. This is a new, which we have adapted, all of us, with Dr. Hiba and I, and of course a professional from outside that worked on the technology itself. When we're looking at technology and embedding technology in teaching, especially when it comes to maths, because maths has a very hard concept and our learners are very easily distracted or don't understand because they don't have the motivation, and sometimes they have the high anxiety. So motivation is the most important thing when it comes to gaming and making that concept much more better for our students. So games are highly motivating because the students are actively participating and control. And then the same thing, we're allowing them to have a competition among themselves and with their colleagues. So this means it involves immediate, straight away feedback when you are in the game itself. So you've got the concept, you've got the maths, and then straight away, if you get it right, it will tell you, yes, you're right. And if you get it wrong, it takes you to the next level and so on. Not only that, we're looking at the concept or any gaming, or when it's got to do with maths itself, we have the decreasing of anxiety. As when we say to the students, you've got maths or a math lesson, the first thing they start to think, oh my God, it's boring and it's scary. So when it comes to teaching a concept in maths through gaming, what does it do? It makes it more focused on fun rather than the performance itself, and makes it an excellent method to reach out, to reduce this, and makes it much more related to the concept of learning maths itself. So when it comes to the teachers and the teacher's point of view, so when it comes to classroom management, which is the most important thing when we are teaching with the young learners, to control the class. And many teachers tell us among the problems caused by computer games is utilizing it in the lesson. Of course, you're not going to lose the lesson because you've already had the objectives, and then you've got your learning outcome. So this tool will just emphasize that you've got the right learning outcomes, and you know all your students have achieved that concept. When then the second thing is the language that we always have a problem with. I'm not talking about the language Arabic or English or French or the normal language, but the language of maths, the mathematics terminologies that are used in the classroom. Sometimes it becomes so difficult for these young learners to understand and comprehend. But through games, they will get it because they've got used to using the mobiles, using the technology in their hands. At the end, what do you want those learners to get out of this? Do you want them to learn maths? Do you want them to learn the concept? And then to be creative in the real world. So creativity is so important because now we're in the 21st century, technology is all around us. So to improve those students' creativity allows the students to participate and be an active member in the classroom instead of saying, oh, I'm bored, or I don't know, I don't understand. So this will keep them, increase the span and keep them the subject knowledge in their mind. So with the 21st century, young learners, teachers, we have to be in that 21st century technology. So what is the 6 C's when it comes to education? It comes with the critical thinking. So our learners have to be critical thinkers. Then when they have that problem, they need to communicate with their peers in the classroom. They need to collaborate to find the answer when it comes to concept of maths. Then after COVID-19, we had a problem when we started to think about character building because they were outside, they were not in the classroom, they were behind the monitors. So we needed to bring that back to the classroom and then to build into those 5 C's, your citizenship, which is your religion, your background, and where you come from. So, and when it comes to learning, the norm of learning, as any teacher or any learner, the first thing that we need to think about when it comes to any software or bringing that software into the classroom and bringing the learning into the classroom is the IDRF. And the IDRF learning norm is the initial, the question. So where does the question come from? So the question is coming from the software. So they ask the questions, and then you let the learners discussion, because as I said, we need that discussion to make them more creative thinkers between the students to find out the answers and the solutions. Then they come up with the response to the computer, the platform that you have. Then the follow-up comes from the platform itself, says to them, well done, you've done well, go to the next level, or think again and give me another answer until you get the clear answer. At the same time, that software, what does it do? It gives you straight away the answer so you know where you've gone wrong.
Now I'm gonna talk. Hello all, I'm Dr. Hiba. Now I'm gonna go through the study that we did. This study investigates the impact of a specific learning mathematical game that was built by a tech guy, help us in this software, and we give him all the input. It deals with the algebraic concept using STEM application. We test its effect on the attitude and performance of middle school students in Qatar. In particular, our research question is about to what extent using games in learning algebraic concept change the attitude of students toward learning math using gaming, and to what extent using these games in learning this algebraic concept improve the achievement of the student. Our methodology is about a questionnaire before and after implementing the software, and that measure the attitude of the participant an achievement test before and after implementing the software in order to measure the participant understanding in general using this software. And the qualitative part, it's a mixed method. It's quantitative using the questionnaire and the achievement test. And the qualitative part is about interviews with some students to discuss their point of view after using this software. The STEM mission in our study is to prepare middle school students for the new generation in education and introduce this software in learning mathematics with collaboration with STEM. How STEM was integrated, we'll talk about the software later on, but let's talk about the integration of STEM. The study used STEM subject in the test, and STEM is a part of the game flow, where the software is built using real-life problems connected to science, engineering, and mathematics. The model. Our model contains two hypotheses. First, the perception of the student about using the game before and after implementing the software, and the achievement test, the grades before and after implementing the software. Our moderator are the STEM subject in the game and the test. Then we will talk about the study frame, the theory. What is the theory that we used in this study? It's the theory of planned behavior. According to the theory of planned behavior in 1991, behaviors are influenced by intention, which are determined by three factors: attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavioral control. How did we implement this in our software? How did we adopt it? So attitude toward learning in general and toward the use of games in specific are both relevant to our context. Subjective norms is how the student expectation about using the game in learning math. These norms can be social pressure, and we ask them about that, and the perceived expectation of others, and how much the student value those expectations. The perceived behavioral control is how able the student feels to perform the specific behavior. It includes self-efficiency, enjoyment, usefulness, and behavioral intention with the use of the software. The more favorable the four factors are, the more likely the intention and action are to occur.
So like the doctor said, so we looked at the methodology. Now, what are the research tools that we're going to be using for the survey? So the 10 online study survey items were based on satisfactions with learning by gaming. So what is the software's best thing for it? So the items are adapted from previous studies from Kemendashi 2017 without any modification. So the answers were scored by 5, a LinkedIn scale from the number 1, the strongest I disagree, and then 5 are strongly agreed. So we had that in our mind, but we needed to have a look at the graphical design for the gaming. Remember that we are dealing with young learners, so it has to be more colorful, more practical. The design was to improve the cognitive, so we're looking at the cognitive of the children themselves. So that was important, okay? So not only that, the area looked at with us with the game based on learning style can be easy and friendly. Remember, we are dealing with young learners, so here we had to look at the safeguarding of that students in the classroom. And then we had to look at the sequencing of playing the game based on the students, okay? So every time they knew, it will take them to another level, and they will be happy that they got that answer correct. And if it was wrong, they would tell them straight away. So that means we needed to transfer the knowledge, and it should be a soft way of transferring, because again, you're dealing with young learners. The language had to be, it had to be very nice, had to be very soft for the learners. And at the same time, we needed to show them the language of the mathematics, the concept and vocabulary. Benefiting the base from applying this, remember they are in the classroom, so the environment had to be correct. And it had to be fun, and it had to be overall satisfactory of those young learners. So with that, with our technician, Ori, so we sat down. This is the software. It's there online for you to have a try at. And please come back to Dr. Hiba or me to any feedback that you want us to get back to you on. So this was developed to introduce specific algebraic concepts, and it was embedded STEM into it to apply for the middle school children. The software consisted of game that helps students to understand and apply how to find the internal and external angles, and brought it to the real world now that we're living in. And we're happy, alhamdulillah, it was 3 languages. We got to the 3 languages. So as we are native Arabic, and then we had the English, and now we have the French as well. So that was beautiful. So how does this application work? Remember the IDRF form. So first of all, the application would ask the students to log in, okay? And the teacher would see the logins, all of these logins the students are in. And then the children, if you have a look, they are the spacemen and women, okay? And they have to drive that space shuttle and take it back home to Earth. But to get back to Earth, they have to answer these questions. And these questions are related to, okay, you have this triangle and find out the external and internal angles, which are very hard for young learners, but through gaming it, they will get the answers easily. So the research tools was that the test was prepared to measure hidden angles, as I said, in the triangles, and we embedded the STEM into it, where they built to find the hidden angles of the real life problem. So bringing, instead of paper and pen and things, bringing it to the real life situation. So for example, I know it's in Arabic, but I'm going to translate in English. تم بناء منحدر ملحق بناء بمساعدة عملية تسليم البضائع. So we have a curve, and this curve we had to bring some things or some equipments to another building, and the building has a land, and this land has a triangle onto it, and the triangle is equal to 37.2. Find the offshoot angle. So here it's very hard for a learner just to give them that without them seeing the 3D. So with that game, it will be very easy for them to understand it, and they will pick it up easily because the teacher has already given them the objectives of the beginning of the session. So the interviews we conducted were 4 questions. The interviews were based on students' perception. We needed to see the students' perception of using this game, because they are the ones who are using this game. They are the ones who are, we needed to make them understand the concept of the game and come out with a real understanding of maths. So the example of the question is, tell us about the overall satisfaction of using the game. And we had a lovely, very brilliant things.
Our sample is the population is grade 8 student in Qatar, and our sample is consists of 72 students in grade 8 from 2 different schools in Qatar. The aim in using this sample is to check if there any difference in the attitude, any change in the attitude and achievement between these students in order to improve teacher practices and development in service. First of all, you know, as the quantitative part, we need to check normality, reliability, and validity. So we didn't have a normality for the questionnaire. We had normality for the test. So we used the non-parametric and parametric test. We had a high reliability Cronbach alpha at 0.09. And for the whole without deleting any items. And the validity, of course, was checked by 5 professors. The Wilcoxon test reveal a change in the attitude between the pre-survey average and post-survey average. It was 3.8 and 3.9, which means the attitude change after after using the software. On achievement, we had a high p-value. It's less than 0.001, and the mean was 7.7, and it's huge, like increase after using the game. It was 14.32, which reflect a high improvement in the grades of the student. The results of interview with the 10 students, we had positive feedback and negative feedback. One of the example of the positive feedback, so one of the students said, it helped me because I can see the path of my answers, how it's the flow of the answer. They were happy with it, and they feel fun. And the negative, they just didn't have time to go through that and like just play in the same time. It was the only negative thing. Our conclusion was the software worked fine, and the game in applying, finding the angle, shaped the knowledge of the student with a high achievement. The game in applying, finding the angle, changed the attitude of student toward using games, and the attitude significantly changed. And this was our conclusion, was our implication that we wanted to go for more schools and more levels, maybe in the next research. Thank you very much for listening to us, and thank you for the engineer who did the software, Mr. Jack Samadi. I want to thank him for this. I want to thank Dr. Mayamin, and we are ready for any question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hiba and Dr. Mayamin, for the exciting presentation. And the topic itself is very nice, and it's really related to our kids. We really face this problem that they are not interested in the math, they are not interested in the math language. And this, the kids these days are talking in a gaming language right now, so we have to accommodate and we have to adapt to that to get them to let them acquire the required skill for their better future. Thank you. If anyone want to ask Dr. Hiba or Dr. Mayamin any questions, you're welcome to write it in the chat. Okay, any questions? I do have a question for Dr. Ali. تفضل حضرتك. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, السلام عليكم, and very يعني ما شاء الله, very excited يعني presentation. Thank you very much, and creative, idea. And we know that after the COVID and nowadays we are looking to implement such these applications and softwares to enhance or to optimize our the students' understanding, the science and different topics, and physics, maths, and my question here: to what extent we can implement or integrate, since this conference until the theme of STEM and STEAM. So how can we integrate and use this software to enhance or to adapt the approach, STEM approach or STEAM approach in education in general? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. The software was built first from the idea that what is the most thing that kids love these days? It's the mobile. So the idea was built from here. How do we catch these students to work math on their mobile instead of chatting or playing games without any purpose? So we begin with the angles in the triangle, and we are now trying to implement this in the different part of mathematics. And it was, we are in the process of continuing this software for more levels and more part of the objective in order to implement. Our introduction, our use of STEM is in the problems in the game. So we are trying to introduce STEM to them so they will be more familiar with STEM application through gaming. So this is what the intention of using, first of all, the game using STEM application.
Can I just add something to Dr. Hiba, what she's saying? What does STEM stand for? STEM stands for, so it's science, technology, and because now you said, Dr. Ali, it's the new stream, which is reading, writing, implementing all these. So with this software, we're teaching our students, like Dr. Hiba was saying, the science and technology into it, which is the platform itself. At the same time, we're teaching them to read the questions. Now they have to, because it's like Dr. was saying, it's a software that they can use. The phone is always with them nowadays. Now let them read instead of just playing the game. So they're reading, they are using their mental concepts of maths, so they're using this critical thinking, and then they're answering the question. Here they're writing, so that's the R. So reading, writing, and then it comes up with the answers. So again, you've got all this, the maths problem into it. So that is the stream or STEAM, whichever you want to call it now. It keeps on changing every 2 seconds. So here we're embedding everything into that software. And like we said, nowadays our children are, instead of giving them, like when I was a little baby, that was something very hard. When I was a baby, my mom would give me the dummy, lahaya, to keep me quiet. Nowadays, our children, when they cry, what do we give them? We give them the iPad, or we give them the mobile. So let's, like Dr. Hiba was just saying, let's give them something better instead of watching something which is not related to the real world, which is cartoons. Let them make them think. Okay, maths questions, English questions, science questions, so on. So let's bring them to the real world, what they are, by applications online, by applications that makes them critical thinkers, makes them collaborate, makes them creative. And this is how STEM goes into these applications.
Thank you, Dr. Hiba and Dr. Mariam, for your clarification. And we have another question. Did you adopt or adapt the instrument?
The instrument was done by an engineer, and his name is Jad Samadi, and it was built from scratch. I gave him the idea, and he said we can. He said he was very excited, and he said let's do it as a game, and we worked together and we come up with this software.
Thank you, Dr. Hiba, and thank you for the nice presentation. We have a lot of questions related to it, but we're running out of time. So we have to move to the next presentation right now with the second paper entitled Design Thinking in Enhancing Understanding and Motivation in Learning Science, presented by Dr. Ali Khalid Bawana and Dr. Sabreen Mahmoud Al-Salman. Dr. Ali is Associate Professor in Math Science and ICT Education Department, University of Bahrain, PhD in Curriculum Instruction Science Education, Fellow based on UK Standard Framework for Teaching and Learning, certified as a Senior Trainer. He has articles published in International Index, one international book and other national and international article. While Dr. Sabreen is a PhD student in the Curriculum and Instruction at the University of Jordan, Math Subject Advisor, USAID, GTAP Creative Association International, in charge of QRTA in Service Math Network Program, lead math team in Reading and Mathematics Project. She was chosen to be one of the coaches in the first Arabic course in the Middle East for Harvard University. We would like to ask you to Dr. Ali and Dr. Sabreen to start your presentation. If you can make slideshow, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hiba, for your presentation for us. Can I have the second slide? Thank you, Dr. Ali. In fact, as all of us know, that school classes nowadays need to think differently on how we can engage and how we can make this the change that really will attract our students again to the traditional classrooms and the traditional way of teaching. So the background of this study taking into consideration that the school classes and academic institutions face huge challenges in the design process. And as I said, especially after the students after the school returns. So starting from designing the teachers' daily schedules to the designing of the education and curriculum. This is one of the things that most of the teachers nowadays facing challenges related on how to design a specific way of interacting and engaging students. And also, we know that these challenges are authentic, varied, and complicated. So we need to think on different perspectives and to think in new methods to have some creative and innovative ways that we can re-engage our students in the schools. And as you see, many studies indicate that the most challenges faced by teachers are the ones related to the aligning between the students' present and the future requirements, how we can make this alignment and how we can, for example, one of the things that I'm doing now, I left my workshop, it's related of how we can help our students to make this connection between the prerequisites that they have lost in the school closure and the new learning. And as you know, the prerequisites is essential to start their new learning. So really we need to think differently and to design our thinking in teaching, in presenting the curriculum, in looking at social emotional learning for our students. So design thinking is one of these creative tools or methods that really could help and assist teachers nowadays. So why teachers need design thinking? As we said that design thinking is a solution-based approach for solving problems. So it's teachers, they need to improve positive change and moving forward to two basic elements for excellence. And design thinking can help teachers to be more successful through the change they make while designing their lessons, their activities, their programs. So today, the teaching process, as we all know, it's faced a lot of problems or troubles, but all of these problems and challenges can be considered as a chance for us to look differently to what we were doing with our students and what we are aiming to achieve with them after the pandemic. So I think design thinking one of the things that can help our teachers in solving these problems. Sorry. So also design thinking can improve the teaching learning process. As you see, teaching and learning process together to create an interactive and attractive educational environment for our students. Design thinking can aim to make students happier. And as I said, that we need to work on the social emotional learning for our students and how we can make them more happier when they are coming to schools, and socially how they can interact with their colleagues and classmates, and psychologically more satisfied and stable by solving their problems. Because if they feel that they are able to solve their problems related to their lives, related to their learning, I think this will affect all their achievement. And also design thinking aims to improve performance and productivity for our students. And it's also aims at developing the practices of teaching and learning. Next slide, Dr. Ali. So as you see, design thinking is an iterative way. It's a non-linear process. It's not you don't have to move from step to step in a series. It's a non-linear process. So we have 5 phases for the design thinking phase. Phase 1, empathy. And this is how we can develop empathy and understand the needs of the people we are designing solution for. So we need first to think deeply what are the needs and the interests for our audience or students. And phase 2 is identifying the problem. So we need to define problems and opportunities for designing the solutions. And then we go to phase 3, forming the idea. And this means that we need to generate and visualize creative ideas. And phase 4 is forming the prototype, and how we can, during this phase, many initial models are designed. We can accept more than prototypes or models, and then explore and suggest the possible solutions, aiming to create something that really can be shared with the users or the students. Phase 5, the best solution resulting from the testing. So we need to test the solutions and seek for feedback, which is very essential to get feedback if this solution is applicable, if this solution is suitable for our audience or users, and whatever. Thank you, Dr. Ali.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Sabrine, for your presenting, the background and the framework. The current study, we try our best to, to answer these 2 questions. The first one, does the 10th grade students' achievement of electricity content differ according to the teaching method? We are comparing the design thinking model and the conventional teaching method. Then, because we have 2 different, dependent variables, the first one, the student's achievement, and the second one, the student's motivation. So we try to answer also the second one, does the 10th grade students' motivation to learning physics differ according to the teaching method, design thinking, and the conventional one? In this study, the instructional method based on the design thinking model in the current study, we can conclude or we can describe what we did during this paper or implementation. So we restructure the content, the electricity for the 10th grade in Jordan, I mean the 10th grade unit, the electricity one, according or based the design thinking model. Then we attend lectures with the students because, as my colleague mentioned, the first phase for the design thinking, the empathy. So we try our best to attend the classes as a students, not as, a teachers. So we try to feel the students, the needs, the interest, what they are looking for, about their expectations, and students were asked about their interest, their expectation for this course and other courses. So we try to understand the students and how we can develop and how we can restructure, because it's not, as she mentioned, my colleague mentioned, that this is not one way. So we can do some, developments during the implementation as well. So after each class, we meet each other. We sit together as a researchers and as a teaching assistant and as the real teacher in the experimentary group to explain, the practices conducted during the lesson, and we identify the challenges, the difficulties, and, we consider the students' feeling and interest, and, because the most important thing here, the empathy, okay? Based on that, the researchers work to modify the teaching plans to meet the desire and the needs of students based on the best suggestions and ideas, according to that. Some of these, we used some applications like Kahoot, Slido, designing educational games, conducting a case studies related to the lessons. We ask the students sometimes to contact experts, teachers in the field of electricity in the school, or via some social media like LinkedIn. After that, the teaching plans were directly implemented inside the classroom. Then the researchers generate ideas on how to solve new problems and implement the mechanisms of delivering the content. We ask the students and we send them and we provide them some video clips. We use the dry lab simulations also, according to their interest and needs and what they are looking for. And the previous presentation about gaming and how to use the softwares to enhance students' learning. So those, we are speaking about digital natives, so we need to implement some digital applications. The students were assigned parts of content to present in the classes, and they were also asked to homework in addition to being advised to contact local, as I mentioned, international experts in the field. We used the flipped classroom also twice in this implementation. I mean, two times. The experimentations and development process were carried on after each class with the addition of a practical or activity. At the end of the electricity unit, the students conducted a pilot project, to cover, because we're trying to, ask students to write, like, let me say, a problem, and they target to solve the problem by the end of the class or by the end of maybe the meeting, something like that. So they created like, a project, and we have like a ceremony by the end of the course, and each students or group present their product and the solutions or the model they created by the end of the chapter. This is, the theoretical framework for the study. Designing phase, we design restructuring the content, and this is, ongoing process based on the, the feedback and the, observation and the, empathy of the students and, during the class, and the feedback from the teacher and from us as a researchers, because we attend the classes and we write during the classes the comments. So we restructure the content and we develop the content day by day or class by class. Then training phase for the teachers and the real teacher, for those in the experimental groups, and the implementation. The methods, the sample, consisted 92 students from 10th grade in Jordan. The study design were a quasi-experimental, semi-experimental study. And because, we have two different dependent variables, so we have, we created achievement test in electricity and physics, and the questionnaire to, to measure the students' motivation toward learning physics. And, we created the, the guideline for the teachers, the restructuring the content. And the implementation of the study, the researchers ensuring the validity and reliability for the instrumentations. And we did 3 sessions, training for the teachers, 3 hours for each. Now the results, we conclude the results because we know we have only 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and this is why we don't have hold the tables here. So we found that there's differences between the means for the experimental group and the control group, with difference 4.41 regarding the mean in favor of the experimental group. And we did ANCOVA analysis and we found that this is really statistically significant, and the eta square, I mean the effect size, were a large effect. For the second question related to the students' motivation, we have this instrument, and we found that overall, the overall motivation were strong, and the overall mean 4.84 out of 5, according to the Likert scale. We believe, some of ideas regarding the results. This study could be explained through the empathy researchers felt with the students while redesigning the content, and we put the students in, or we ask them and we encourage them to create or to write like a problem, and they're trying their best during the journey of the framework or the phases of design thinking to find the solutions. And as we know, this included the divergent thinking and convergent thinking for each step. So they have to suggest all the solutions, or as much as they can. They have to mention solutions, brainstorming in the groups. Then they have to select the best solutions, and they have to choose the best one, and so on. So we have divergence, convergence thinking for each step, and we have hands-on. So we did hold the and we implemented the whole classes in the physics lab in the schools, and this method also offers an interactive environment that is rich in impacting or influencing factors. Our recommendation based on the results, it's a good opportunity. Now I'm thinking to implement or to integrate, the design thinking with the STEM or STEAM or STREAM, as our colleague in the first presentation mentioned. So we can integrate this model with the STEAM or STREAM approach, in one approach, whatever the name. So we can help our students, to think differently, to produce students, or to our students to be fit and ready for the future, the 21st century skills, and so we can restructure the content accordingly, and it's a good opportunity also to help our teachers. How can they implement? How can they design, restructure the content based on, let me say, the design thinking model in the classes, in their disciplines, and how we can use and how we can explore, the impact of this model, I mean the design thinking, on enhancing students' higher order thinking skills, problem solving, inquiry, and so on. So this is our, our recommendation. Thank you very much. Any question?
Thank you, Dr. Khalid and Dr. Sabreen, for your interesting presentation. If anyone has any question, they can write it on the chat or unmute themselves and ask them. Any questions? Okay, we don't have further question right now, so let's move to our third research paper entitled "The Reality of Mathematics Teacher Preparation Program Before and During the Service," presented by Dr. Aisa Sami Aisa Jarboua. Dr. Aisa worked as a university lecturer for math statistics, and he is math and sciences education supervisor Okay, he holds a PhD in mathematics and advanced course in teaching method, curricula and statistical analysis. Please, Dr. Isa, we welcome you and you can start your presentation right now.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. Dr. Isa, can you make it slideshow, please?
Welcome. Can you watch slide? My slide?
It's a little bit blurry.
One minute.
اتفضل.
Can you watch my slide screen?
لا مش ظاهرة عندنا. لو حضرتك ممكن تعمل stop sharing وتعمل sharing تاني. لو حضرتك هتعمل sharing للسكرين اتأكد ان انت عامل optimize for text and image please.
لحظة شوي.
اتفضل.
تمام هي ظاهر.
كده تمام. حضرتك بس اعمل سلايد شو. من على الشمال كده. دكتور عيسى معانا؟ تمام.
مش ظاهر. نبدأ ولا كيف الموضوع؟
هو مش ظاهر سلايد شو. حضرتك بس السلايد شو ناحية الشمال تحت. دكتور عيسى can you share it again؟ شكرا. اوكي اتفضل حضرتك you can start.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله يعطيكم
عليكم
العافية
السلام
جميعا.
ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حياكم الله. My research titled The Reality of a Pre- and In-Surface Mathematics Teacher Preparation Programs in Palestinian University. Preparing teachers before surface has become an important matter that should be focused on by authorities responsible for university education, considering the preparation as an essential part of an integrated process that aims to develop the teacher professionally, scientifically, and technically, and to provide him with the new skills that improve his performance. The teacher is considered the tool that countries use to achieve their goals, which are distributed over the different educational stages and teacher preparation programs in both parts, pre-service and during service, reflect the competences and the needs necessary for the teacher to achieve the goals of each educational stage. The successes of the educational processes with its content and dimension and the elements and reasons it entails, such as curricula, textbooks, occupied building, and successful school management, despite its importance and effects on educational work, will remain doubtful unless competent and well-prepared teacher is prepared for it, scientific, culture, and professional aspects. As a result of these changes, serious calls have emerged for the necessity of reforming education, addressing its weaknesses, and developing all its aspects, material and human. In addition to study programs, the teaching ideas and the teaching methods, and focusing on teacher preparation programs by reforming and developing them the possesses the necessary competences to face changes in the field of education. The adoption of traditional programs for preparing teachers by educational situation has been criticized because of their focus in knowledge and theoretical curricula, as they are sufficient to make teachers able to teach students the fact and information included in the curricula and the traditional way. But the schools in the modern era depend on teaching students new skills and knowledge. It calls for teacher training situation to continuously evaluate their programs in the light of educational development and community development in order to improve and develop these programs in a way that includes both theoretical and practical aspects. طيب, this study came to investigate the reality of a pre and in-service mathematics teacher preparation program in Palestinian universities and shed light on their expectation. The study problem can be identified in the following questions. What is the reality of mathematics teacher preparation program before and during service in Palestinian University from the point of view of faculty member, supervisor, and the school principal? Two, what are the specification and component of mathematics teacher preparation programs before and during service in Palestinian University from the point of view of faculty member, supervisor, and the school principal? Three, what is the role of faculty member, supervisor, and the school principal in improving mathematics teacher preparation program in Palestinian University? Objectives of the study. This study seeks to achieve a number of objectives, including identifying the reality of pre and in-service mathematics teacher preparation program in Palestinian University from the point of view of faculty member, supervisor, and school principal. عفوا. Identifying deficiencies in the current program for preparing mathematics teacher from the point of view of faculty member, supervisor, and the school principal, standing on the specification of programs for preparing future mathematics teacher and the standards for preparing them as a basic step for school reform. Identifying the role of faculty members, supervisor, and school principal in improved mathematics teacher preparation programs in Palestine University. Study limits and specifics. Human limits. The study was applied to 6 number of teaching staff in Palestine University and 6 supervisor and 5 school principal. Special boundaries. The study was applied in the Palestinian University, Islamic, Al-Aqsa, Al-Azhar. Temporal limits. The study was applied to study individual in the second semester of 2021 to 2022. Terminology of study: teacher preparation and organized and planned educational process carried out by the facilities of educational sciences to provide the student with knowledge and skills toward the teaching profession to be able to perform his job duties. Mathematics teacher preparation program. It is a structured program aimed to educating mathematics teachers about what to expect and what not expect in the teaching profession. Study approach. This study relied on the analytical approach that studies phenomena in their natural context, relying on it as a source of data, and it is based on collecting information from people directly related to the phenomenon, then analyzing and interpreting it. The reality of this program in terms of their gaps and the challenges they face, and proposing some solutions that can be offered to improve mathematics teacher preparation programs offered in Palestine University. The researcher interviewed the 6 faculty members in Palestine University, 6 supervisors, and 5 principals of the school. And the semi-open interview tool was used to collect data and information. Study participants, 6 members of the teaching staff in Palestinian University, 6 supervisors, and 5 principal of a school. Study tool. In this study, the researcher used the semi-open interview to collect information and data, and the procedures were as follows. Buildings a semi-open interview tool by referring to studies that used the interview to collect data. It consists of 2 parts. The first part included information about the participant and the objective of the interview. The second part included 30 questions revolving around the reality of mathematics teacher preparation program in Palestine University and the specification and component of mathematics teacher preparation programs in Palestine University, access to it, and the role of faculty member in Palestine Universities, supervisor, and the school principal in improving teacher preparation programs. Reviewing the data analysis more once the ensure the accuracy of the analysis, the clarity of the concepts, the semantics of sentence, and the clarity of ideas. The researcher read the response of each faculty member and monitored the ideas and the concepts included in the interview, then linked similar ideas and concept and put them in lists that include the features or characteristics similar by doing the following: data dumping for each individual interview separately and the group independently, reading each paper carefully and consciously, understanding its content, extracting the ideas and concepts included in the interview, adjusting the interview procedures, and making sure of the indicators of mutual honesty. طيب study procedures. Data analysis and interpretation result. The data obtained from interview with the 6 quality members, 6 supervisor, 5 school principal about the reality of mathematics teacher preparation programs by Palestinian University, Islamic, Al-Aqsa, Al-Azhar were analyzed, and some solution were suggested that it can be presented to improve the level of mathematics teacher preparation programs in Palestine University by writing down their responses and referring to the audio recording that take place during the interview. The first question, what is the reality of mathematics teacher preparation program before and during service in Palestinian University from the point of view of faculty member, supervisor, and school principal? The result of this question indicated that there is agreement and convergence in the ideas put forward by faculty member, supervisor, and school principal about the reality of mathematics teacher preparation programs before and during service in Palestinian University. And during service in Palestinian University, the most important of which was the low level of averages in the facilities of the colleges, of the college, which negatively affect their educational attainment and the level of their performance as mathematics teacher later. The faculty of mathematics teacher preparation, we are it focuses on the theoretical side rather than the applied side. The teaching methods used in the college depend on the method of lecture and recitation, while workshop and many teaching don't receive much attention following traditional methods in evaluation based on easy question and some objective question and poor integration among the components of preparing a mathematics teacher and poor coordination between two colleges of preparing mathematics teacher and school from on the one hand and between teacher preparation colleges and the ministry on the other. The lack of readiness of the school in which the training takes place, lack of field follow-up of the student teacher during training from the supervisor. The second question, what are the specification and components of the mathematics teacher preparation programs before and during service in Palestinian universities from the point of view of faculty member, supervisor, and the school principal? The result of this question indicated that there is agreement and convergence in the ideas put forward by faculty member, supervisor, and school principal about the participants' perception of pre and in service mathematics teacher preparation program in Palestinian University that achieve their ambition and be more effective, include student admission to the department after passing and the admission test that includes skills, mathematics, and setting a specific mark that the student must obtain in order to continue in college. The program includes a sufficient number of field training hours, coordinating course content to avoid repetition, involving the teacher in preparing and building programs for preparing mathematics teachers.
You can hear me now? Okay. Our next presentation entitled Assisting the Effect of Integrating PhET Simulation in Teaching Undergraduate Physics Laboratory Course, a study on linear momentum experiment, presented by Mr. Mohammed Aslam. Mr. Mohammed is a teaching assistant of physics at Qatar University, obtained his master's degree in theoretical physics from University of Calicut, India, worked as a lecturer in the Department of Nuclear Engineering at Kingdom Abdulaziz University. Please, Mr. Mohammed, the mic is yours. You can start sharing. Mr. Mohammed, we can't hear you. Can you open your mic? Unmute yourself, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. You can start sharing right now.
Okay. Yeah, the slides are visible now.
Yeah. Can you make it slideshow, please?
Okay.
You have 20 minutes for your presentation and questions. You can start right now.
Okay, inshallah. Bismillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you for joining here, and thank you for the NCED for giving me an opportunity to attend the valuable conference. So here I'm going to present you my studies on physics labs, assessing the effect of integrating simulations, PhET simulation in the undergraduate physics laboratory courses. So in the QU, we are calling it Physics 192. So just a minute, I can change the. I could not change my slides. Can you hear me?
Sorry?
I could not change my slides. What's the problem?
Just press the arrow. It will change with you.
No.
It's not working?
Just stuck there.
Okay, share it again.
Okay. Yeah, it's working now. Okay, the background of this study, because we have done in the lab a demonstrative experiment for the experiment 10. It's about the conservation of linear momentum, and all the other experiments have done by hands-on activity for the students. So there are many limitations for the demonstrative experiments compared to the hands-on experiment. Okay, so I am integrated the FET simulations to the demonstrative experiments, and I was checking about if these simulations are helps to enhance the understanding of students about physics concepts. Okay, and the second question about the research, are the simulations are overcomes the demonstrative experiment limitations, because the students are doing the other experiments by hands-on activity, and this one are became a demonstrative experiments because of the instrumental limitations. These are my background questions. So normally we are using the laboratory courses as part of an undergraduate science program, and laboratory courses are important part for any science program because it's enhance the students' knowledge on the lecture classes, or the students are recollecting the information, or they are applying the information that they have studied in the lecture courses. So all of the universities in the whole world have incorporating these laboratory courses on their lecture courses. So in Qatar University, also in physics program, we have 2 basic undergraduate courses for the laboratory, physics 192 and physics 194. It was followed by physics 191 in the lecture and physics 193 in the physics 2. It's about the electricity and magnetism. Normally the simulations are used in everywhere in all of the world, and the importance of simulations was it plays a crucial role during the pandemic, because the labs were conducted in virtually, and most of the labs, even in our Qatar University, we have in many faculties, we have used the simulation labs or virtual labs instead of the hands-on labs, because the students are not coming to the campus. So the role of the virtual labs or the simulations labs are very important in the modern world. And now my studies are about the integration of the FET simulation on undergraduate physics courses, and these courses are especially for the engineering students. Okay, let's talk about the experiment of the conservation of linear momentum. And this experiment, 2 parts are collided in a frictionless surface, and this is the demonstrative experiment in the lab, in the physics lab. And their momentums are calculated before the collision and after the collision using the vector analysis. Okay, then the students are checking, is these collisions, we have 3 types of collisions: the elastic collision, inelastic collision and perfectly inelastic collisions. And the students are checking whether these collisions are obey the principle of conservation of linear momentum or not. So they applied the vector analysis for the momentum before the collision and after the collision in the x and y directions. And the principle says that the total momentum of the system in each direction is conserved. Okay, this is the idea behind the experiment. The PhET simulations are founded in 2002 by Nobel laureate Carl Wieman at the University of Colorado Boulder, and the PhETs are very, very common and popular in science faculties and science students to understand the concept on physics. Okay, and this is the screenshot of the collision lab from the PhET simulations. The two objects are colliding in a plane, and you can get the information on the momentum before the collision and after the collision from the data. And you can change the mass of the object, or you can change the elasticity of the object. Okay, if you can make it 100% elastic, that means it's an elastic collision. And 0% of elasticity, this become inelastic collisions. The students are tabulated the momentums before and after collision, and they are calculating the energies before and after collisions using the data they obtained from the collision lab. So I have using the students from the spring 2022 semesters from the Physics 192 course. Okay, and there are 4 groups, and 2 groups are combined as a study group, and it consists of a study group consists of a male section and a female section. The male section consists of 18 students and the female section consists of 15 students. The total study group have 33 students, and the control group have 1 male and same the female. They have 18 and 14, total 32 students. Okay, these are all the students are from the spring 22, the last semester, the last year semesters. Okay, and the control groups are only using the demonstrative experiment. Okay, I give them the demonstrative experiment, and the students take the measurement from the demonstration. The issue is the experiments. I show you the experimental setup. So the issue for this experimental setup is there is using a high voltage for this supply, and it causes some sparks here. So it's a frictionless surface. We provide air through the tubes here. Okay, and the 2 pucks are colliding in the frictionless surface. So we make collision on this plane, and it produces spark. So you can arrange the spark, depends on the frequency of the generator, and it produces air on the bottom of the spark, the pucks, and it produces some dots behind the back side of the paper, and we combine the dots, and we can elaborate the dots and get the velocity of the object by combining the dots from the paper. And the mass of the objects are given, so we can calculate the amount of the momentum before and after collision for each object in x and y directions by considering the angles also. Okay, this is the idea of the experiment. So normally we have providing the students only the demonstrative experiment because of the possibility of the high spark coming here, and it is very sensitive equipment. There are many issues in this experiment also. Okay, then so the combining this PhET simulation enables the students to understand more things on the experiment. Okay. And one group, the two groups, they have only the demonstrative experiment, and the other study group, one from the male and one from the female, they are provided the fit integrative simulations, and they use the fit simulation before the experimental demonstrations. Okay, then they collect the data from the simulation, and they analyze the data using the documents. Then they go to the demonstrative experiment. So the study group have both the simulation and the demonstrative experiment, but the control group have only the demonstrative experiment. And the assessment scores are divided into three categories. One pre-lab quizzes for both groups, and a post-lab quiz. It's a blackboard post-lab quiz, and a question from the final examination. It's a problem-based question. Okay, and all the questions I have designed to check the students' conceptual understanding on the linear momentum and collisions, whether they get the they can enhance the idea of the momentum and collision from the simulation or from the demonstrative experiment. And the paper-based pre-lab quizzes have 5 multiple choice questions, and the blackboard post-lab quizzes have 10 multiple choice questions, and 1 problem type question from the final examination of the whole groups. The results are tabulated here. So you can see that there are 4 groups, 2 from male section and 2 from the female section. Okay, all of the group, whether it's a male or female, or whether it's a control or the study group, they have performed in the similar manner in the case of the pre-lab quizzes, and they have 5 multiple choice questions, and most of them have almost the same score in the 5 multiple choice questions, irrespective of the control or study group. So this means all of the students have the average understanding on the concept of linear momentum and collision prior come to the lab. Okay, the results from the blackboard post-lab quiz. Okay, so I had provided 10 questions, and each question carries 2 points, total 20 points. So it shows the control group and the study group. So there are slightly differences. We could not say slightly, it's a notable difference between the study group and control group, because we have total, I have 65 students. They are respondents in this study from the 4 sections. Then for the male and female, the study group, they have 13.22 mean mean score from the quiz, post-lab blackboard quiz, and the female 13.06. The control group are performed not well, and when compared to the study group. So it shows that the fit simulation enhanced the concepts of students about the collision and the linear momentum. This is the result from the final exam problem-based question. The question carries 5 points, and you can check the maximum grades, the 4, 4.5, and 5 or 3.5 are obtained by the groups. They have a study group because they have integrated with the fit simulation with their demonstrative experiments, and the demonstrative group they obtained less score compared to the study group. Now discussing the results, all 4 groups have the same understanding on the concept prior to come to the lab. So their results, their scores in the pre-lab quizzes looking similar. So we say that they have the same understanding on the concept of momentum and collision before come to the lab. And the study group achieve more conceptual understanding than the control group regarding the post-lab quizzes. And the study groups also solved the problem more effectively when compared to the control group during the final examination. And the results are varied among 65 students. Some of the students are very less grades, 1 or 2, when compared to all the assessment methods. Okay, some of them are getting 0.5 out of 5 regarding the final examination question. Some of them get 1, some of them get 1.5. And it is distributed broadly among 65 students. When concluding the study, we say that integrating the simulation, especially in the PhET simulations with the traditional laboratory methods, improves the learning and teaching process. The teachers can enhance the students' knowledge by integrating this type of simulations with their lecture courses or the laboratory courses. Also, the PhET simulations can be used as an alternative tool for the laboratory experiments. We had to make it during the pandemic period, and it was successfully implemented in all the courses for my classes at the Qatar University. Also, some of my colleagues also use these PhET simulations instead of the labs during the pandemic period, and from their perspective, the PhET simulations are very effective instead of other simulations, and it's used as an alternative tool for the laboratory experiments. But in the case of, if you are using an alternative tool for laboratory experiments, it is better for you in the case of the schools level. If you come to the university level, it is better to integrate the simulations with the actual experiments, whether it's a hands-on experiment or it's a demonstrative experiment. The findings of the studies are limited because of the hands-on activity are not available for the students in this experiment. Normally, the students take the measurement from the experiment and they do the analysis on the data collected, and they plot the graph, and they do the error analysis using by different methods of error analysis, standard deviation, error propagation, and comparing the results. This is the method in each experiment. But the case of this experiment, the linear momentum, it's only a demonstrative experiment. So the findings of the studies are limited because of the lack of hands-on activity in this experiment. The future studies, we can incorporate the hands-on activity with the lab using the PhET simulation, and inshallah it will be more, it will get more improvement when we combine the PhET simulations with the normal experiments. They provide us the hands-on activity.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed.
Presentation, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for the presentation. And actually, the PhET simulation is very interesting and very engaging for the students, even in a different stage. I think Dr. Ali has a question.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Thank you to give me this opportunity to ask. This is very interesting topic for me because one of my best interest in the research using technology applications in physics because my background physics and my PhD in physics education. This is why I'm very interesting to see this presentation and application. Dr. Muhammad, thank you very much for this great job. And
thank
just,
you,
yeah, this is a great job, Wallah. I really like it. And this is FIT, you called it FIT, physics education. What this mean, FIT? This is abbreviation?
Physics education technology. FIT.
Yeah, this is you choose this name or the creator for this application?
No, the creator.
Okay, so my question here, Dr. Muhammad.
Yes.
In slide 6, I think you show us, the sample of the study. Okay, so
yes.
Did you use different labs? What I understood that you use different labs from slide number 6. So if I were you, I will use this application for only one lab. You use for collision, okay? So if I were you to focus and to make sure, because sometimes the students maybe understand this topic more than this topic. So if you choose and you control that topic, you control one topic only for one lab, okay? So this may maybe give us more deep indications about the impact of using this FIT in enhancing our students in teaching and learning, and the other concern about the assessment, how you evaluate and assist the students. You use the MCQ, correct? So if I were you, I will use something because we are always in education focusing on the alignment between the learning outcomes, the teaching process, I mean the implementation and the intervention, let me say, and the outcome, I mean the assessment and the impact. So you get the idea. I mean the questions should be aligned. So using MCQ with using technology, I think we have to think back how we can use something reflecting and aligned with the teaching and learning. And I like the idea in the how to say, in the recommendation that you would like to use hands-on with this application, so it will increase the students' understanding. And what do you think about about their feeling? I mean, I'm looking for attitude, students' attitude, motivation, interest in this topic during using this kind of applications, comparing with the contrary group. Thank you. I'm sorry but this is because my background, so I like this topic. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your inputs. For the case of the assessments, I use only three assessments, like the multiple choice questions from the beginning before come to the lab. It's pre-lab quizzes, and the post-lab quizzes in the blackboard consist of 20 questions, 10 questions on each one, 20 points. Each one carries 2 points. Then the one question, one problem question, it reflects the same type of analysis from the FIT lab. Okay. Inshallah, in the future studies, we can. I explained you about the limitation of the study because it's a demonstrative experiment. The students enjoyed well for the study group compared to the control group, and they have inputs. They enhance the knowledge of about the physics concepts using these FIT simulations, and it's understood from the studies, and also inshallah from the other experiments like the the Newton's law. As you are the basics from the physics, you are from the physics, the Newton's law and some other experiments. We can incorporate these FIT simulations very well because it is well explained and well designed in the FIT collision lab. So inshallah, I am also
my pleasure, Dr. Muhammad.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad, for the interesting conversation. And actually, we do recommend the FIT simulation for all the different stage level for the students,
Yeah.
because it make it more abstract for them rather than make it imaginary, like when you were talking about topics such as electricity. So the students have to imagine the electrons, and so it's very clear, very fit to different students level. Thank you for this conversation. And right now we have our last research paper entitled Primary Science Teacher Perception Toward STEM Education in Public School in Qatar. It's my pleasure that I'm going to share this presentation. This presentation was done by me in cooperation with Dr. Amal Balkawi. So let me present myself. Okay, I present myself at the beginning of the session, but let me present myself again. My name is Hala Fayed. Okay, I'm Senior Professional Development Specialist at the National Center of Educational Development here in Qatar University. I obtained my master's degree in Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, High Diploma of Secondary Education from Qatar University. I have a Bachelor degree of Science from Cairo University. I have served as a science teacher, coordinator, curriculum facilitator with a total of around 15 or more years of experience in both Egypt and Qatar. I participated in different national and international conference. My interests focus on teacher professional development, which is my specialty, and professional learning community and STEM education. Dr. Amal Malkawi is an associate professor in educational science, holding bachelor and master degree in physics and PhD in science curricula and teaching method. She joined Qatar University College of Education in 2019 as a faculty member in the Educational Science Department. She has experience in developing and evaluating science curricula and programs and has co-authored science books. She has many published research and is a member of a number of academic and scientific committees at the college. Okay. Our research related to STEM education, which is an interdisciplinary approach used to remove the barriers between two or more of the STEM domains, like the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to enrich the learning process by the application in a real-life context. Okay, the history of STEM education, and as you see in our first session, that it started in 1957 by criticizing the educational system in the USA after the launching of the first satellite in Russia. Then many reports emerged there. Most famous is The Nation at Risk. After that, in the 1990s, the STEM approach emerged the first time in the USA according to their political agenda of the National Science Foundation. After that, many countries adopted STEM education, such as the United Kingdom and South Korea. In Qatar, in 2018, adopted the initiative for STEM project to reflect on the first pillar in the human development, second pillar of economic development of the strategic plan of Qatar National Vision 2030. So the Ministry of Education, Higher Education attempt to achieve the strategic goal to raise the percentage of secondary school students enrolled in STEM specialized field by the development of the vision of Qatar second science and technology school for boys. Okay, and after that, they opened another technical school for girls, and there's an intention to open 2 extra STEM schools here in Qatar. STEM development started with the 3 domains: science, engineering, and technology. Then after that, they started to add more disciplines like STEM to be STEM, STEAM, STREAM, or STEAMed, according to the need, by adding the art, entrepreneurship, design. Okay. The STEM, why STEM? Because it builds students' capabilities to become more self-independent learner, which will enhance the interest and the motivation of the student and their enrollment in the STEM education. That this will raise the students' skill to become more STEM literate, so they will achieve raise the students' workforce to become STEM literate, so prepare the student to fit in a high-level global marketing requirement, and this will achieve both the political educational agenda of STEM education. As you see, why I choose the perception, as you see from the figure, that the teacher perception of learning and teaching affect the teacher's approaches to learning, which will affect the students' approaches to learning, and will reflect on the students' learning outcome. Thus, the teacher's attitude, which resulted from their perceptions toward the STEM, can hinder or stimulate the interest to teach STEM, which will be reflected on our students with either positive or negative attitude toward STEM. So this what highlight the importance of improving the teachers considering and their perception towards STEM as much as we improving the knowledge of the teacher towards STEM. The research problem. Actually, the results of the national exams show that the students have a low level of students' knowledge and skills in both math and science. In addition to the TIMSS 2019 shows improvement in the average achievement across the years in both subjects, science and math, but Qatar performance is still below the average level compared to the other countries. So a summary of education report, which arised, highly recommended to raise the students' outcome in math, both math and science and English, which is aligned to improving teacher instructional method to enhance the students' abilities. So the Ministry of Education and Higher Education have different initiatives, as we mentioned in the STEM history, okay, by opening the STEM schools, in addition to horizontal expansion of STEM in public school, the implementation of STEM programs and projects in primary, prep, and secondary school. Also, reviewing the literature indicate that the teacher practices in STEM education strongly affected by their perception. So assessing teachers' practices and perceptions of STEM education will provide valuable input for sustaining STEM deployment in Qatar. Okay. Our research question was, what are science teacher perception toward STEM education in public primary school in Qatar? And to answer this question, I make 3 sub-questions related to STEM education knowledge, their perception toward STEM teaching requirement, and their perception of the impact of STEM education on student outcome. The significance of the study is highlighted to the contribution of its finding to STEM field empirical data. It's considered primary or initial step in effective implementing of STEM in primary public schools, enable stakeholders and Ministry of Education to face and recognize the challenge that may face upon implementation, provide recommendation for developing new professional development programs for in-service teachers, who highlight the theoretical background of the STEM education, in addition to fill the current, current literature gap regarding teacher perception of STEM education in the MENA region, which is a little bit little or rare. The theoretical framework of STEM education stemmed on both social constructivism theory, which established based on the social communication and various interaction between the students, and this is aligned to individual critical thinking, and different instructional practices, including integration of the STEM content, our STEM discipline, where most researches and reviewing it indicate that the students' academic achievement is highly in comparison to the achievement in traditional discipline programs. Problem-centered learning, which includes both the project and the problem-based learning. Both approaches are common in real-life problems, student-centered learning, enhancing active learning, but there's some difference still exists. Inquiry-based learning, which is considered the heart of the science, It's not restricted to certain domain. It can be implemented in different contexts, such as the mathematical or the technological, in authentic practices. Okay, to discover the new concept, build on the student's superior knowledge, activities, inquiry-based learning, also based on constructivism theory, which enhances knowledge construction through investigational learning, design-based learning, which refer to the application of the technology, or engineering design. Engineering design practice empowered the students' knowledge of different STEM disciplines, as it built a clear connection between the content knowledge and the abstract knowledge and the application, and it enhanced their skills. Okay, STEM education also involves the contribution of a collaboration and a teamwork. STEM education guarantees students can learn by fun, okay, which is actively engage them in a learning process within their cooperative group. The literature review, it highlights the studies in the MENA region. In the MENA region, we found around 8 studies. Most of them are in Saudi Arabia. Okay, we find 1 study in Qatar, while in the other region, we find different studies. Most of them were in the USA. Okay, and based on the conducting remarks, the position of our study is clearly recognized between the studies due to the rare of the studies in the MENA region, which promote us to work and research on this field. The methodology, this study is a descriptive study in nature. We adopted the mixed method approach, namely explanatory sequential mixed method, okay, in which the quantitative data first is collected, analyzed, then the result is used to inform the collection of the qualitative data. The population was the primary science teachers, which consist of 412, okay, 135 male to 177 females. The sample, our first sample was 148, which represent 36% of the population, 18 of which were males and 130 were females. Their demographic profile, most of them has a bachelor degree, while their experience vary from less than 5 years, but most of them lie between 6 to 15 years or more. Their specialty differ: biology, chemistry, physics, while most of the school locations were in the Doha, 52% almost, okay. Also, the demographic profile showed that 40% of the teachers received the STEM-related training, while 36% taught STEM lessons. Okay, and this show consistency between the number, the number or the percentage of the STEM-related training received by the teacher and the one taught. Okay, most of them recognize the STEM is being taught in their schools as an extracurricular activity or after-school activity, but it's not implemented enough in the regular curriculum. The second sample is for the qualitative data. We have 4 focus group, each of which consists of 3 teachers. Okay, the choose of this sample based on 2 main criteria. First, that their experience more than 5 years. The second one, that they must receive professional development programs related to STEM, so they have deep information related to the topic, so they can dig more and answer our question, will give us more response, clear response related to STEM. Okay, our instrument, we used web-based survey, consists of 33 items in the 3 previous mentioned domain, and our focus group interview, okay, which was done also online. The quantitative data was collected via web-based survey. The web-based survey was sent to the teacher through the email, the WhatsApp, okay, and the responses was subjected to descriptive inferential analysis using SPSS, while the qualitative data was used to get deep information were obtained from online focus group interview, and data were analyzed using thematic analysis method. As you see here for the survey, the results of the survey, that the means are relatively high. So the 3 domains, the teachers have high perception related to the 3 domains. The highest one was the STEM teaching requirement. While when we dig more through the qualitative data on the 3 domains, we find that there's variance between the perceptions of the teacher related to STEM education knowledge in relation to the integrated disciplines and how they can integrate them in relation between teaching STEM and their future and its relation to the future careers of the students. Okay, there were consistency in the second domain, STEM teaching requirement, which were STEM teaching requirement. Okay, while the third domain, the impact of STEM education on students' outcome, shows also variance, that the teacher didn't know well and they didn't have a perspective related to the impact of STEM education on the students' achievement in the international exam, such as the TIMSS and the BISA. Our recommendation for the Ministry of Education to provide science teachers with additional effective STEM professional development programs which fill their needs and their gaps in information or even the practices and the skill related to STEM, to develop a STEM integrated curriculum where the teachers can implement the STEM projects easily, okay? And to conduct more research in STEM education field for different grade levels, such as a prep and a secondary stage. And thank you. Any questions? Dr. Khalid? Sorry, Dr. Ali.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hiba. MashaAllah, yani, this is a great job. Recently, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Recently, early of January, 1st of January, one of my research related to STEM, alhamdulillah, published and in Q2 journal. It was titled in general about the STEM faculty members challenges and the challenges they faced during the COVID. Okay, so in the United Arab Emirates University, because my colleague from there. My point, Dr. Hiba, here regarding the sample, you mentioned this target sample were 140 something, okay?
Okay,
Male and female.
36.
But
yeah,
I mean, yes. But what I see that you used all the sample under the science discipline. I mean, like physics, chemistry, biology, and something like that. But you didn't cover, because STEM, we are speaking about science, technology, engineering, and math. So if I were you, I can ask different teachers, the science teachers, okay, under one umbrella, physics, chemistry, biology, and geology, maybe. The technology people, for those they are teaching technology, computer science, or something like that, and mathematics. If you don't have engineering or engineers in the school, so we can ask the math teachers also to cover, as much as we can, the STEM teachers. So I didn't see those, like technology and math.
Yeah,
this
because
is what.
actually
Yes.
this is because the primary teacher here in Qatar, they don't teach all the speciality, because we choose the teacher from grade 4 to grade 6, so there's more specific. They're teaching science, they're teaching math, so we couldn't conduct it to all the teachers. And actually this research we conducted during the COVID, so it was a little bit of the limitation that we couldn't access all the teacher for different speciality.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is clear now. And the other thing, how can we get, I don't know, have you published this article or this thing or yet? So thank you. So could you please have to, share with us, the link, or how can we use the instrument, how we can, because this is a great job, so we can use some items in your questionnaire, I mean the qualitative one. So this is great, yani.
Thank you.
If you could share with us, thank you very much.
Sure, it's my pleasure. Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions? So right now we have 15 minutes break. After that we will continue the rest of the session. We have an exciting workshop entitled The Digital Era, Importance of eLab. Thank you for all the presenters and the attendees. Okay, stay tuned and we will start at 3:30. Thank you. Welcome back after the break. Our next workshop is entitled The Digital Era, Importance of eLab, presented by our colleague, Ms. Anita Abraham. She works as a Senior Professional Development Specialist of Science at the National Center for Educational Development, Qatar University. She has been involved in the project of Bridging the Gap, High School and Higher Education. She has also worked as a Master Trainer of teachers on science curriculum. She holds a master's degree in science and a bachelor degree in education. Please, Ms. Anita, the mic is yours. You can start your presentation. We have 45 minutes for the presentation, 15 minutes for the questions and the clarification of anything. Thank you. You can start now. We can't hear you. Yeah, you're muted. Slideshow. Miss Anita, you're still muted? No, you are.
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
All right, let me share my PowerPoint. Okay, thank you, Hala, for your introduction. Let me introduce myself. I'm Anita Abraham, Senior Professional Development Specialist, College of Education, Qatar University. My title for my workshop is Digital Era, Importance of eLab. Let's begin with our objectives for the session. We'll be looking into the benefits of eLabs, discover few of the categories of virtual labs, explore few of the virtual labs, and engage in using few virtual labs. Pedagogical shift. We know there is a tremendous shift in our pedagogy from 20th to 21st century. When you look at the picture here, the diagram shows that we have shifted from traditional ways to the digital ways. From slates, abacus, textbooks, laptops, computers to now a digital space or a immersive technology. So in other words, we can say that is a shift from teacher center to student center, from passive learners to the active learners, from labs to e-labs, from books to e-books. This all has taken place due to the evolution of interaction with our technology. In the beginning, we were space-bound. That is, when we had the desktops, we could not carry it along with that, and we were space-bound, doing our work there and there. With the coming in of the laptop, the space constraints were removed. And still, by the coming of iPads and smartphones, we could do everything through our fingertips in our palms. And now, with the immersive technology, we are again into another era. So the teachers need to gear up with these technology in order to catch up with the students of this age. What are e-labs, or what is a virtual lab? Actually, this lab has gained popularity during COVID. We know that it was the only way that we had during the pandemic to reach out to our students and to keep the education, to give the education to our students. And the benefits of e-labs were experienced by the education faculties. So what are the importance, or what are the e-labs? E-labs are nothing but an environment which is online or virtual, where students and the teachers can access the labs virtually without the constraints of the space or the time. It has virtually everything what we have in a physical lab. And the skills of physics lab can also be gained through these virtual labs. What are the benefits of the virtual labs in this era? Most importantly, they're cost effective in terms of human resource, in terms of physical space, in terms of equipments. Everything, when we compare it, it is much, much cost effective, and the subscription does not cost much. Second thing that we are reminded, or we know, it is scalable. That means it at the same time, number of students who can access the e-labs is much larger than the physical lab. The flexibility is also there. The students, again, like I said, there's no constraints of space, the constraints of time. They can access the lab whenever, from wherever they are. And most importantly, the students have the advantage of learning things at their own pace. Consistency. When we talk about the e-labs, they are more consistent than the physical lab. The reason being, in physical lab, it is humanly controlled. After each lab class, we have to rearrange the lab equipments and everything, and there are chances of the human error. But in here, in the e-lab, there is no such fear. Just one touch of reset and the lab is ready to be used. It makes the complex concept easy for the students to understand because visually we can see, like in our research paper, they were talking about simulation. When students can see the electrons and the protons moving from one place to another in the simulation, they can understand the concept much better because electricity is an abstract concept. It enhances the actual experiences, and most importantly, you don't have to worry about the safety of the students. The types of e-labs. First, it is the remote triggered lab. We'll go into the details of each later. Simulations, virtual labs, and then augmented reality and virtual reality. I think in this session, we will stop at 3 because of the time constraints. For you, I have few of the websites that you can use with your students, especially in high school and middle school, even in the higher education, these can be used. When I say it is multidisciplinary website, that means it has all the disciplines, all the strands of sciences, that is physics, chemistry, biology, and even more. So these are the few that I'm sharing with you. Java simulation, this is very simple simulation that can be used with the students. Lab Exchange, it has few of the virtual labs that can be accessed. Concord Consortium is again a website which deals with the simulations and detailed lab activities. Gizmos, this again very good for biology part of it. The rest is okay, but biology is really good, especially the genetics and Punnett squares. You can use them for that. FET, as one of our doctors has explained about his research paper, they've used it in the higher education. So, and it is very well applied or can be used with the high school and middle school students. Plexi labs are also multidisciplinary labs which are there for us to use, and it again has all these strands of science. Few of the websites which are discipline specific, that means they are physics, only for physics. There are many more, but I have just mentioned 3 here. Physics classrooms, VP labs, record labs. Physics classrooms, we'll be going to it. The rest two are paid, so we won't be going into that. Biology, Bioman, HHMI Biointeractive, Virtual Biology. For physics, we have PSF Virtual Lab and Chem Collective. Again, all these, how do we access it? Wait, before I come here, give me 1 minute. Yeah. This is a exercise for you. If you are there, you have to scan the QR code and say, from these websites that I have just mentioned, how many have you used them in your class? Are you ready to do the QR scan? There is a time for writing. You have 1 minute. If there is no one, I will close it and move on. No one still? Okay, I think I will move on, not wait for the responses. Okay, the first one, the access. How do we get access to these websites? Many of the websites that we have just discussed are free, or you have to just create an account for yourself. And creating an account is not difficult. Go to the website, click on the sign up for free, follow the prompts, or sometimes even you can sign up with Google or even Facebook and just use the content. That is so easy to get into the websites. We are coming to the first one of it. Now, what I'm going to go is stop sharing the slide here, and I will start sharing the web browser so you can see the browsing. Okay, here we are. The first one that we are talking about is, just a second, let me see the content. Yeah, the triggered lab. No, not this one, this one. Yeah, this is called the triggered lab of remote triggered. That means no, this is not the one. Sorry, just give me a second. I'll come back. Yeah. Yes, just website is seen. Yeah. I hope you can see the website here. This is remote triggered laboratory. Is visible, Hala? Yeah. Okay, so this what happens in remote triggered laboratory is that this is actually institutionally controlled website. That means the student of that particular institute can join or can log into these labs remotely. They have all the experiments listed here, and they can click on it and then get into the website. Now, when we do that, for example, if I click here and I go to the modulation, you can see the layout. It has introduction, theory, calculation, component, and procedure. That's what you have to do in order to get into the live experiment. So if I click the live experiment, you can see that you have to have the login or password. That is what I said. It is university or the institute controlled experiments. But the students can access it by logging into their account and then choosing the experiment that they would like to have and blocking their schedule. They have to block the experiment and the time schedule so that they can go into those website. So it is mostly for the higher education. As you can see, this is of a higher standard, not for the middle school. Next one that we have in art is the simulation type. Before going to the PowerPoint, let me take to the simulation type of the labs. It's very simple. You must have used this many times in your labs. What happens here is children can just play with it, right? When they have to have the magnet rotation here, they can click and rotate the magnet here and there. Yeah. But what happens with this stimulation? Let me share one with you and then talk about how can we use this stimulation in our classrooms. This is from the FET one. And again, it is again a simulation. If the stimulations are not used correctly, they just mere becomes a game where the students just play up and down and just leave the site. So here we can see it's a simulation. These are the content that can be checked. And here is the pH meter that can be gives us the pH of that solution. I've shown you two of the stimulation type of the lab, or the lab, we can call them a virtual lab where students do the experiment. But what we have to remember here is that any simulation, we have to have a few things that we have to remember while using them. Let me share that with you in the, okay, I have to share the PowerPoint. Stop sharing. Share the PowerPoint. Yes. Yeah, so we were here, simulations, and we have to know what we have to keep in mind in order to have the stimulation, the effect that we want the students to have or gain from it. First of all, we have to give them the specific learning goals. Like I said before, if the specific learning goals are not given, the students are just going to play with it, and without gaining any knowledge, they're going to go out of the simulation. So it's very important to give them the specific learning goals while they're using the simulation. Second one, though we are saying the learning goals have to be given, the direction that we give them, how to use it, should be minimal, so that they trial and error, they can find out for themselves and make sense what is happening and learn the learning goals that have been mentioned for them. It has to be collaborative activities. The reason being because it is an interaction. If they get stuck, they can discuss it with their colleague or peer and move about in the simulation. Always remember, any new knowledge has to be connected to the prior knowledge. They should be given a chance to monitor themselves, that is a self-assessment, and connect to the real world experience. Now we have taken the two simulations. You've seen that we can play around with the buttons. But now for you, there is a question. While you're using these simulations, what are the two questions that you can ask your students, or what are the two learning goals that you can ask them to do while using the simulation? If you are again there, you can take the website or the QR code and start answering. Okay, I'll move on. I think there is no one here to answer the questions. It's fine. So let's move on to the next one. Here. Okay, here we are coming into the 2 or 3. Now we are going to go on to the types of websites that have the virtual labs. And the first one that I have for you is the Concord Consortium, which talks about interactive STEM activities, which are free for your classrooms. So it's a great resource for you to use it in your classrooms. We'll go through the websites just to see what are the things that are available there for us. So again, I'll stop this sharing and go back to the sharing of the window. Okay, this is the website that we are talking about. This is called as Concord Consortium. It has the STEM activities free for your classrooms. You can see here on the left-hand side are the subjects that you can choose from: chemistry, earth science, engineering, life science. All the multidisciplinary subjects are there. You can choose according to your grade level, whether it is elementary, middle, high school, or higher education. Here, the features that they have is the topics are here. You can go by the subject for the topics, and you will get all the chemistry here. If you go by life science, it'll give you life science, and that is how the website works. So I have to remove the chemistry and go to the life science. If I have to choose anything, if I can choose middle school, again, it starts loading 6 of the activities in the life science. Here you can see the preview. What does the preview do? It shows us what is there in the activity, whether you want to use it in your class or no. That is how it works. So if I say I want to see, this is say preview. I just click on the preview. It shows me what it is, whether it is good for me or no. It talks about the charges. What are the charges? Van der Waals attraction, temperature. These are things that I can change and play. So like I said, you have to have the, what do you say, the learning goals for them in order for this stimulation to work about. When you go here, this about, it gives you the questions that you can ask the students while they perform the activity on this site. Going back to the site, so that is one of the site that we saw. If you go into the life science, or you can write it here, say population, that is what you're looking for, populations. Yeah, you can see the building a dam to change the environment population. It gives you by that site also. You can go through and find more. Here, one more thing, it gives you the timing, how long the activity can last, what are the grade level that you can use it to, and you can assign or share this to your students. How do you assign or share? You have to just copy a link, or if they have the classes assigned, then they can log in, or you can share, just copy and paste in there. That is how you share the website or the activity with them. So try it out. Because of the lack of time, maybe we'll not be able to perform. Right now, I'll just go take you through the activities and then come back to the interaction that I have for you. So next one that we have on our list is another one, which is called the Value at Amrita. Again, this is a virtual lab. Again, multi-disciplinary. It is there. If you click here, this is also, I said, it's actually generated by the Indian government for their students. So some of the features may be free, some you may have to pay for it. So let's click one and see what does it have in it. It has all the topics are given and the aims are given what it is. So if you click any and see how it goes. It goes again the same way that we saw in the first one, because it is both the websites are monitored by the Indian government, so they have the same layout. Theory, it talks about what is the procedure. When procedure we are talking about, it will give you 2 procedures. One that you can do physically in the lab. Second, that you can use it with the simulation. Before you do the simulation, there's a self-evaluation or pre-test that can be done by the student. And later, when they use the simulator, they can use how they use the simulator to gain insight after the procedure is done, is followed up. Now here, this is a deflection magnometer. That means how much the magnet differs or deflects when 2 of them are brought together. Here are the variables that you can change. On this is the magnet that you will change, and here you can see the deflection. For example, I remain the same. I say place the magnet is placed, and you can see the deflection happening. And here, if you go down the side, you can see they have given you the worksheet that you can note down your readings, and they can show you the result. What you can change here is the variables can be changed. For example, if I say reset, it goes back and takes time, but inshallah it's coming close. So variable, now I want to keep the mass of the magnets at say 42. and length and the breadth I will want to change to 1.5. I say place the magnet. So the magnet, the length has changed, the mass has changed, and you can see the deflection is also changing. So this is how the virtual lab can be used for the students for learning and teaching. Here you can see the point here. It can count the millisecond, microseconds, seconds, minutes, how much the oscillation is taking place. That also can be recorded by the students. If you see, it goes here and you can see the deflection. They have to count and then stop it and write the deflection in 5 seconds, how much time it has oscillated. So it's a beautiful lab interaction that can be used by the students. Second of this kind lab is what you're talking about, lab exchange. Lab exchange, I'm not sure whether you have used it. Here is another one. Now, the important thing in lab exchange that has got many content here. Resources are too many. They have accumulated or gathered all the content type from various websites and put them here together. So if you have the access, it is the login is free, so you can log in here. But some you have to pay. It's worth paying to get the website for your students and for your teachers. Now here again, it goes subject wise. You can see the subject, how many there are. So it is subject wise, scientific process, data science, mathematics. So for prepare for graduate school, online learning. So all these preparing for college students. So this has multi-discipline in it that can be used for the benefit of the students. Then the content type. When we talk of the content type, what are the content that they are using? For example, they have videos, text, image. So you can go by that if you want. One thing that I liked in this website is the pathway. When you talk about the pathway, it is a collection of, you can see here, pathway is 9 items. That means it, for coronavirus from bats to human to pandemic, it gives you detailed information and different content that can be used by the students to get into the thing. For example, if I say genetic engineering, you can see the pathway. It starts from here. It has a two videos, then it has a text. That means you can go through the text of here. Then there is a question set that they have to answer after they have done this. Then there is a again a text and interactive where they can change and see how the restriction enzymes can cut the plasmids, and all that can be done in one go. And by the time the students are read through it, they can access to many things from here. And very important thing here is that it is also available in Arabic. I think so. Yeah, it's Arabic. I think so. It's Arabic. So it is. These all the contents are also available in Arabic. So it's very useful for our region here in Qatar or around the region to use this web. It can be a very useful website that can be used. I would like to share one with you. That is biotechnology. Let me type the name so that is easy. Content type. Content pathway. Yeah. Electrophoresis. When you talk about, okay, let me take this one, restricted enzyme. You can see it is the lab setting that they have here, and you have to go read and do the things you would like to grow in the lab. It has material, prediction, protocol, result, reflection, summary. So when you go into it, they tell you what are the materials that are being used in this lab. Then prediction, you have to predict what you're going to do, like we do in the lab, exactly. And then it takes you to the protocol, how you have to go about in the lab to get the results that you want. So select the water bath to set to the temperature 37 degrees. So I have to say, no, where is the water bath to select? So what is the temperature that I want to set it? I want to set it to 37. So these are the activities that can be done in this lab. I wish I had more time to go through it, but you get the idea that how useful the site can be for our children to do the e-lab or the virtually the labs can be conducted here. Next website that I would like to take you is, this is again, when I said multi, you can have physics, you can have chemistry. This is chemistry, the one for the chemistry. Chromatography, it is the same type that you can do, or the children can interact while doing the chromatography experiment. Next is Bioman. Now this the problem with this Bioman is that it's a commercial website. When it's a commercial website, you can see all around it some of the ads that can come in. So that is the only problem with it. Otherwise, it is a beautiful website. So cells, let me take the cell activity. You have cell defense for your activity that I will be giving you. So explore the cell from here. Mostly this website has got games, and without sorry, there's a as I said, this is all the start a new game. You can start the new game, but the thing is, using it can be used by your mobile, it can be used by your iPad, and most of the games are available also on your Apple stores. So those are using the Apple mobile or iPads can have this thing in your fingertips. So I just click here. Here is the secret mission. So it gives you to read through it and then continue. It will not, you cannot move without reading it. That is good thing that happens in this website. So they give you the instruction how you have to go. And here the mission is given to you. There are 4 missions that you have to go. There's a score sheet that you have to keep. So this is the thing, you will enter the cell by endocytosis. The cell membrane will surround you and pull you in. So let's see what happens. So this is, it's going in. You have to read the vesicle. You have come in. Yeah. Once you have come in, click here. You have the control. You click the button to blow and continue. You see what if you click the power, it gives you the details of the Golgi apparatus. You have to read the Golgi. Let me push the music on hold. I don't know. Okay, so once you read this, then there is a formative assessment for you. So once you say it's okay, say if I say B, sorry, that's not correct. So they have to read it again, say C, correct. Only then it will move further. So that is the advantage of this website, that it is gamified. So students find it interesting, and more importantly, they are also biology. So when students cannot see what is happening in our cells, in our body, when it is stimulated, when it is interactive, they learn it much better way. So we have come to the last of our website. Then you will have some activities for you, which my host will give you the websites to go through, and then we can have the activities done by you. Why I'm doing all the labs together is because I'm sharing the web browser with you. Otherwise, I had to stop and share. So please bear with me. So this is the physics classroom. It's a very good site for physics teachers. If not for students, but for teachers, you can have many ideas that you can collect from here and use it in your classrooms. So here again, it has tutorials, interactives. You can see the number of interactives. It has video tutorials. That means the lessons which are in the text can also be viewed visually. You don't have to read the text. If you're a visual person, you can just look at the videos. You see the kinematics. There are 16 videos on that lesson. So these are a type here. You can just have here the videos on the same as the tutorial. Let me take you to the tutorial first. It has all the lessons that have been related to this particular topic. Lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3 till lesson 6. And each one has an introduction. It has a Venn diagram. Just for the, yeah, look at this. It has all the big ideas. What does it mean? And it goes to the next lesson, introduction of the diagram. So this is to read and to do. Let's look at the video of the same one. Physics video, kinematic 7. Okay, so here the video is the same, speed and velocity, distance and displacement, so you can view the same what you're learning. So it gives it reinforces your learning. When you look at the Newton's law, let's go back and see the physics interactive. How does that take place? Newton's law, for example, here is the interactive. Forces. If I click here, it takes me to the forces. It gives me a brief explanation what I have to do. You can launch the activity. Now, very important or good thing about this is with each interactive, it has got an activity that has been made for the students. And this can be printed. It's a PDF. It can be printed and given to students before giving the stimulations to them. So that is how this website is useful. Now let's launch the interactive. It's very simple, but it's very, very useful for the concept to be cleared in the minds of the children. Now here we have mass, applied force, and this is the force that has been given. So if we increase the mass and the force and then push it, you get the velocity graph here, time and velocity graph. When you click at here, you can get the vectors, which is also a good thing. They don't have to draw. They can see the connection, what is happening. Let's see what happens if to the net force is also 30 Newton. Yeah, 30 Newton. Reset button, very easy. Increase, say by 10 more. Push it and let's see what is the net force. It's again 40. So the applied force and the net force is always same. Let's see what happens when we increase the mass. Again, does not depend. It is the same. So these are the things that they can click on, learn, and jot it down, and they can make connection to what is happening in this particular interactive. So here, like I said, all the physics topics are there. Some of them, when they are here, concept builder, there are new ones here, they have to be paid, but most of it is free to be used. But again, this is a .com, so it's a commercial website. You might be troubled by using the pop-ins, the ads that come in. Here you have ACT Center, Curriculum Corner, Question Bank, but I think you'll have to pay for the Question Bank. It has to be used. Question Bank is all the topics. There are questions in it, and that you can use whenever you have to use it for a particular topic. Approximately 80% of questions are force choice style question. It includes true and false, multiple choice. So you can set the type of question you want in your corrections. So this is a very good website, especially for physics teachers. If there is also a site where the teachers contents are there. If you have any problem for teachers toolkit, teachers toolkit. So if you have any concept that you need to understand, going to go back and go to it. And when you're clicking at them, you can also see how you can use this website in a more effective way. Each tool can view it in 3 different. It's a HTML, it is a PDF version. It has got toolkit to go. So as far as the teachers are concerned, this is a wonderful website for the physics teachers. So coming back to our okay, let me stop sharing this and come back to the web PowerPoint. So just taking you through what we have already done. We went to the Concord Consortium, the free STEM activities, but now you will have to do one. So my colleague Hala, if you are there in the chat, Hala, could you put the first website? If they are there, they can try it out and see. You'll have to go into the name when you are clicking the link. They'll see number of interactives. Select the interactive by the name of diffusion and molecular mass, and then get into the activity. Put it in the chat if you're trying or no, so it is understood if you are using it. Okay, maybe I can share it with you if you're not using it. Yes, so I told you to collect to the diffusion. There are many. Select the second one, the preview. So here is a model of diffusion of molecules, how it happens. The estimated time to complete this module is just 15 minutes. So it can be given as a starter at the end to see if they have gained the concept. So let's begin the activity. Here are the molecules. They are being hidden by a barrier. So there's a molecule, the temperature can be here. What you can trace the molecule and reset the experiment. All right. So let's start and see what happens. We start and the molecules have started moving. Let's remove the barrier and we have to count the time the experiment takes to reach the purple molecule, the time it takes to reach the gas sensor. Remove the barrier, it is removed and the molecules start moving. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's see, 3 of them should reach. Okay, 2. When third one reaches the stop, it will stop. Yeah, see, 11 seconds, 11.4 seconds is taken to reach in the normal temperature. Now let's reset the experiment. Now we're going to increase the temperature and start. The molecules have started, the students can see that is the molecules have started vibrating very fast. Let's remove the barrier and see how fast it goes. 1, 2, and 3. So it just takes 3.9 seconds. So the students can get the concept when the temperature is high, the time taken by the molecule to reach the gas chamber is less. Why? Because they vibrate at a greater speed. I hope it is useful. This is how you do. I already explained the site that you have the about here. How does the molecular mass affect the rate of diffusion? So we talked about the temperature now. If we have to look at the mass, then what we have to do? we have to increase the high mass and reset the experiment. Let's do the medium. Start. Look, with high mass, how do the molecules move? Very slowly. So this simulation, the students can really understand how physics is working when they see. This is not visible in any way, but in the simulation. So the simulations are nothing but the reality, the expressions of in interactive way of what is happening in the real world. All right. Stopping back again, coming to the PowerPoint. So I'll take you to one more. I think this is the last one I'll take you to. And then if you have any questions, we can go ahead and answer. This is another one. Okay, where am I? I'm here. I have to share this. Okay, this is self-defense. And again, I explained to you that we have a game that we have to do. What we have to do is make the start new game, press the toolbar. Build a membrane. Let's build a membrane. Here, doctor, you are a doctor. It's a scenario that is given to you, and they're talking about the membrane of the cell. You had there is a doctor while damaging is saving the cell because this membrane has been damaged. So you have to rebuild the membrane. When you rebuild the membrane, you see they're showing the membrane what it has. Let's continue to look at it. I don't know, how do I stop this music? Okay. Yeah. So here it says what are the hydrophobic, hydrophilic heads and how will you go about, right? When you have read this, I understand it goes further. Okay. And so now the membrane has been broken. How do you supply? You click here and you take it to the philic end, right? Second one, third one. This is phospholipid, which has hydrophobic and hydrophilic end. Now here it's very interesting. You have to turn it around. So what do you do? Turn around. Okay. So they say your membrane is ready. Was it easy? Yeah, it was easy. And they learned through it what is phospholipids, what is it. Now again, if I have to supply the next one, cholesterol. So this is how to move. You have to create new cholesterol molecules by clicking the cholesterol molecules in the supply box. So you have, does it fit here? No. No. So where does it fit in? You have to fit in there, and that is how it can move. You can see there's one still lying here, so bring it here. And that is how it has the website works, and students learn by game, by the concept of the cell membrane, how things can pass in and out of the cell membrane. Coming back to my PowerPoint. So now we are at the end of the presentation. Are we on time, Hala? Okay. So what are the key takeaways of the workshop are? We learned the benefits of the e-lab, discovered few different categories in the lab that were the virtual labs, that were simulations, the remote triggered labs that we studied about. We explored few of the virtual labs. What are the content? What are the subject wise? How are they placed? And how you can use it in your classrooms. And we engaged, of course, you did not. I engaged myself in using the virtual lab. Thank you for your time and effort. I come to an end of my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Anita, for your interesting presentation and workshop, and the very beneficial website that can fit with different students' level and can cover different disciplines of the science. If you have any question for Ms. Anita, please feel free to write it in the chat. So I think there is no questions.
Yeah.
It was clear enough. Thank you again, once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for the great day. We hope you have a beneficial one. We invite you to join us tomorrow. So please kindly check the program of the conference for the second day. By the way, there will a questionnaire will be sent about to your email to complete it in order to get your certificate of attendance for these sessions of the conference. Okay, so our greetings from the National Center of Educational Development at the College of Education, Qatar University, and the Educational Research and Development Center in the State of Palestine and Ministry of Education in the State of Palestine. Thank you all, and to follow more about the National Center of Educational Development, please check the link I sent it in the chat. See you tomorrow with a new program and a new research paper and beneficial workshops. Thank you all.